Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder if AI can understand our feelings as well as a person can, especially when it comes to our own words? Well, get ready because this study dives deep into that very question. Imagine you are trying to understand someone's emotions, not just from a quick text message, but from a long story they told or a journal they kept. For a long time, scientists have used tools to try and figure out the feelings hidden in words. But these old tools sometimes miss the tiny details, the sarcasm, or the real meaning behind a phrase. And then there are the super smart AI programs, the big language models. That can understand language really well, but using them with private information like personal stories or therapy notes can be a big worry because you might have to send that data somewhere else. So what if we could get that high-level AI smarts, but keep all our sensitive information safe, right on our own computers? That is exactly what this research team set out to explore. They took 24 different AI language models, some big, some small, all of them open weight, meaning we can use them ourselves. They wanted to see if these AI models, without any special training for this task, could accurately read the emotions in spoken words, even if those words came from personal stories or daily journals. Think of it like giving the AI an instruction, like tell me if this story sounds happy or sad, and seeing if it gets it right, all without showing it a million examples first. They tested these AI models against a few different levels of accuracy, a really basic guess, a common tool psychologists use called Luke, and even against human judges. To test this, they used two sets of stories. First, they had recordings of people telling emotional stories about their lives, like happy moments or challenging times. These were from the Stanford Emotional Narratives dataset, or SENT. Then, they looked at audio journals from people dealing with serious mental illness, who were keeping diaries about how they felt day to day. This part came from the Bipolar Longitudinal Study, or BLS. This is where things get really interesting because these are not just short social media posts, but longer, more natural, and often more complex expressions of emotion. Now, AI models work with text, not sound. So, the first step was turning all those audio recordings into written words. They did this in two ways. They got professional humans to transcribe them, and they also used an AI tool called Whisper to do the transcription locally, keeping everything private. They wanted to see if the AI transcription messed up the emotion analysis later on. To know how accurate the AI was, they needed a ground truth, a benchmark of human judgment. For the stories, they had lots of people watch the videos and rate how positive or negative everything felt. Second by second for the journal entries, they had trained research assistants read the transcripts and give their own emotion ratings. They then turned all these human ratings into a simple scale from very negative to very positive. Then came the main event. They took all those written transcripts, both the human ones and the AI ones, and fed them into 24 different open-weight AI language models. They used a clever trick called zero-shot learning. This means they just gave the AI a clear instruction, like rate the sentiment of this text on a scale from 1 to 7, where 1 is very negative and 7 is very positive. And the AI had to figure it out without seeing any specific examples of happy or sad texts beforehand. They made sure these AIs could run on regular computers, not supercomputers, which is a huge deal for making this kind of research accessible. So how did the AI models do? Really well. They found that most of these AI models were much better at understanding emotions in these natural stories and journals than the old school tools like Luke. Think of Luke as a dictionary that counts positive and negative words. It is useful, but it misses a lot of the subtle meaning. The AI models, however, could understand the context and the nuances. But here is the most mind-blowing part. Not only did these AI models beat the old tools, but many of them actually performed as well as or even better than individual human judges. That is right. Artificial intelligence understanding human emotion in our own words better than some people can. Models like Llama 3.3, GPT-OS5 -4, and Gemma 3 were the superstars here. And you might think only the absolute biggest AI models could do this, right? Nope, the researchers found something really practical. Some mid-sized, efficiency-optimized models like Phi -4 and Gemma 3 perform just as well as the much larger models. This is incredibly important because it means you don't need a super expensive computer to do this kind of advanced emotional analysis. You can likely do it on your home computer or at a university lab. Remember how they used AI to transcribe the audio. They also checked if those transcriptions, even with a few mistakes, affected the emotion analysis. And guess what? They didn't find a significant difference. Even with the errors that automatic speech recognition can make, the AI models were still great at picking out the sentiment. This means a fully automated private system from audio to emotion analysis is totally doable. Now, while the overall performance was amazing, the researchers were also very careful to look for any unfairness. AI models can sometimes be biased, meaning they might not perform as well for certain groups of people. They looked at the top performing models for things like bias, how well they could pick up on changes in emotion, and how consistent their predictions were across different groups of people based on their sex, race, education, and even their diagnosis. And they did find some disparities. For example, in one dataset, the AI was less precise, meaning its predictions were noisier or less reliable for Black speakers. In another, one model was better at detecting emotional shifts in men's speech compared to women's. This highlights that even with great overall performance, there is still work to be done to make sure these AI tools are fair for everyone. So, what is the big takeaway here? This research shows that we're entering a new era for understanding human emotion. Open-weight AI models are now good enough and accessible enough to be powerful tools for psychologists and anyone studying human communication. They can analyze complex natural language, keep our data private by running locally, and even outperform human judgment in some cases. The fact that smaller, more efficient models can achieve top-tier results is a game changer. It means that researchers with limited budgets and resources can now access cutting-edge AI for their work, moving beyond just using basic word counters. And the ability to use AI for both transcription and sentiment analysis, all while keeping data private, is a huge step forward. Imagine being able to analyze years of therapy sessions or personal interviews quickly and securely without compromising patient confidentiality. But we also need to be aware of the limitations. As the fairness audit showed, these models are not perfect. They can still have biases, and it is crucial that researchers continue to test them thoroughly across diverse populations to ensure equitable performance. We need to be thinking about how these tools impact different groups and work to mitigate any biases they might have. The researchers also pointed out that, for now, these models are primarily tested in English and only analyze text, missing out on the tone of voice, facial expressions, and other nonverbal cues that are so important to emotion. Future research will need to explore more complex, multisensory AI models and test them in different languages and cultures. Scroll conclusion. In conclusion, open-weight LLMs have matured into a robust and accessible tool for the effective sciencey conclusion overall. This study is incredibly exciting. It tells us that AI can be a powerful, privacy-conscious ally in understanding the complexities of human emotion as expressed through language. It opens up new avenues for research into mental health, social dynamics, and even just understanding ourselves and each other better. It is a big step towards making sophisticated emotional analysis accessible to everyone. What do you think about AI being able to understand our emotions like this? Does it excite you, or does it make you a little uneasy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Rubin's Mind Lab for more science deep dives, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.